Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm.
Hi, it's Demetrius.
Hey, Demetrius, it's Mark. They're in.
Nice. Taking it to the next level.
Launching Phase 2 of Gābl Media on October 7th. My name is Mark R. LePage, and you are listening to EntreArchitect podcast, where each and every week I speak with inspiring, passionate people who share their knowledge and expertise, all to help you build a better business as a small firm entrepreneur architect. This is episode 343, How to Build an Online Course with Sara Kolata of Architecture-Masterclass. This episode of EntreArchitect podcast is supported by our platform sponsors. ARCAT, the online resource delivering quality building material information, CAD details, BIM specifications, and so much more, all for free. Gusto, easy online payroll benefits, and HR built for modern small businesses like ours. And Monograph, the time tracking and project management tool built for architects by architects. Sara Kolata, welcome to EntreArchitect podcast.
Welcome, Mark. Thank you very much for having me.
It's great to have you here. We bump into each other constantly online. I love what you're doing online. I think I love your enthusiasm and your passion for helping other architects. And so I really wanted to get you on the show here just to have a conversation about what you're doing so others can hear what you're doing because I think it's an important project. But before we get into that, let me introduce you. Sara Kolata is an architect and digital strategist with a narrow specialization in vernacular architecture. She found her services to be in demand by companies globally. Interested in business possibilities deriving from positioning herself as an expert online, she became an ambassador for digital transformation in the architecture sector. Today, she runs a training program called Architecture-Masterclass, where she helps architects record profitable online courses. With this project, she hopes to encourage individual scholars, consultants, expert architects to develop an online presence and create online courses, contributing to the creation of a global platform for online education in architecture. And so that's her mission. I love that, Sara. And I want to dive into that, why you're doing it, why it's important to you. I know it's important, and I want to have that conversation and to encourage others to sort of follow the lead that you're setting here. But before we do that, I want to do what we always do here. I want to know your origin story. I want to have you go back to share a little bit more about you. Where did you discover your passion for architecture? What inspired you to become an architect? And how did you get to where you are today?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this lovely introduction. My story goes back to, I studied in London in central St. Martin's, and it was always a dream to go to that school. So I didn't think much. I just did everything to get in. It was quite tough and I was really young, but I made it. And about 2 years in, I got an internship in Shanghai. So I left for a year, and this is really where the true journey as an adult, let's just say, as an adult and also discovering myself as an architect happened. So I worked in an office downtown in Shanghai, and I lived right in the center of Shanghai, and we did like really, really big development projects, urban development. And there were big names that we collaborated with, but also the scale of planning was just so grand that there was almost no attention to detail. And it was really interesting because obviously the work was extremely inspiring, but it was the first time I lived in a completely different country to European countries. And it was quite a big culture shock at a time. And every single day as I walked to the office, I actually passed this little square, which was all completely kind of covered by a wall with just one entrance. And it was very intriguing. What is this place doing there in the center of Shanghai? So one day after work, I wandered in there and I realized that there was a community living, but in really, really poor conditions. And I couldn't understand why are they there. I mean, Shanghai is all like, high-rise buildings, a lot of business. Everything's happening from, incredible foodie places to, this kind of low-level, quite cheap places, cosmetic places, whatever. It's just great in terms of diversity. And that one place that is just I just got really curious about. So as I inquired, I realized that they were actually indigenous people that used to occupy the center of Shanghai before big corporations. Well, actually, I don't know even if it was big corporations that bought land from them, but someone did and sold it to big corporations. And then they just kind of scooped them all in that one place because I guess human rights wouldn't allow us to just like get rid of them or whatever. So they lived there whilst business was developing around, growing to 30, 50-story buildings around. And it was business like, the headquarters of the BMW or massive banks. And wherever you go, there's just their logos everywhere. And this is exactly what I was building when living in Shanghai. This is exactly what we're doing. We're doing this massive urban plan scale development for big corporations. And if we integrated culture, it would be a museum or a philharmonic. It was that big of a scale of planning. And I was just baffled about the reality of how it all looks, because also studying in London, we were all very starstruck by all these famous architects that would show up at the AA or in the Bartlett, and we studied not so far from these schools. So very often I would go for lectures and meet these people, and this is what architecture meant to me until that moment in Shanghai. And so we talked about green architecture, sustainability, but not in these terms, not in terms of, for example, what happens with people that are underprivileged and like how, who helps them? I mean, what's going on? And then this other aspect came to mind, which made me realize that these people knew how to utilize nature to live out of in terms of survival, but also building. And as we came in to that land and just built this massive concrete and steel construction, that knowledge and the actual ability of practicing the technology of building that was like indigenous to humanity before Industrial Revolution just completely disappeared. And I just felt really touched by it. It was like the first time I was young, and it was the first time when I was really disappointed in life. and it was disappointing. And it completely drastically changed my viewpoint onto my career and who I wanted to be. I no longer wanted to work for big names. I no longer wanted to actually work in architecture that didn't develop conscious solutions for humanity. And so as a result, I started getting interested more in projects like for example, I started finding new heroes like Anna Heringer, or for example, what Ike Roswak does in Berlin, and people, or Francis Karras, so people that are working with indigenous architecture and close relationship with communities as well, not only preserving in the process of design, but actually bringing these really beautiful designs into this ecosystem of architecture and projects. And they're contemporary, they're not outdated solutions. And so it was really fascinating to me. And I started exploring concepts of humanitarian architecture. As a result to it all, after I graduated, I basically moved to Berlin just for a really short time, and then moved to Guatemala, where I got a job as an architect in a charity. And I started building schools and houses for people. And it was great. I worked in humanitarian sector of architecture, but we still built with concrete and with steel. And there was very low awareness as of to the real culture and the real roots of the people we were serving. And the help was very much if they're hungry, feed them. Don't show them how to grow food or catch a fish. Just feed them because they're hungry. So very simple solutions to problems, but actually these solutions always brought more problems onto the table, and they were not real solutions. They were not sustainable. So that was the second time when I was like, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm going to do it all by myself. And by then I learned Spanish, and I also met a bunch of really amazing builders in the area that were building with natural materials. And there was need in community all over. So I just decided to register a charity, and I reached out to some sponsors. We found money, we found volunteers, and we started building. And that's how it all started. So I was doing it for about 6 years in Guatemala mainly. Living there, it was really beautiful time. And there was another architect, Charlie Rendell, who is a bamboo architect, and I was learning from him, bamboo and earth and construction, at the Lake Atitlán in Guatemala. and he was my mentor. And really, he's just an incredible. He's an incredible thinker. He's extremely creative, but also he would just build beautiful structures out of natural materials, hotels, resorts, yoga retreats, private housing as well. And it was inspiring to learn from this person. And honestly, no matter how much I've grew, he always knew more. And it was just, he's still the person that I call if I have a question on a construction site. So anyway, time flew and we started building private projects with Charlie, and I also built alone. And with time, I started going to a lot of events, natural building events, bamboo conferences, and kind of grew my network around that. And through this, and also some workshops that we were organizing in natural building techniques in Guatemala and inviting people to join. They were traveling from Europe and taking courses with us. Basically, people started finding out about us as experts at the Lake Atitlan. And so one day I got a phone call from Mexico City from a company that built only residential and concrete buildings, but in the city of Mexico. And they had a client who wanted to build a gallery, which was all bamboo. And they were looking for an expert on bamboo because they never built with that material. There's a lot of bamboo growing in Mexico. They just didn't have the expertise. And it was the first time that I got hired as a consultant on the project. And I absolutely loved that experience. It was amazing. And I realized that if these people never knew that I'm doing bamboo, I would never have that opportunity. But also consulting on that project allowed me to be involved with that team and still be a contributor to the design, but I didn't have to live there, or I didn't have to take the full responsibility of the project. So it was just a great collaboration and another amazing project I could put on my portfolio from Mexico this time. And so I thought I was always focused on obtaining clients locally and, finding leads through word of mouth and reputation contacts, but out of a sudden there was a whole new way of collaborating with other architects actually on projects, but also on their projects, and it was a whole new way that I understood business. And with time, actually, what happened was I started to realize that I wanted to scale up. I really felt entrepreneurial by then. I developed already a team around what we were doing, and I was hiring a group of people. We had builders we were training as well, and we grew, but there was no significant growth in terms of scaling up to our earnings, for example, and also the outreach we could have at the community. So we were helping, but we didn't have we didn't have more donations coming. And so I started thinking, okay, I want to grow this business, but the traditional way of growing an architecture business is you either find more sponsors with the charity or you find more projects and then you recruit more people. And so it's kind of like an organic growth, and it's very much service-based. So what are other ways of doing business? And this is where I took some time out and I went to America and I studied business, actually. And for the first time, I heard about digital marketing and a lot of techniques of essentially selling other things than just your service, that you are a full package as you come as an expert. And within that package, it's not just the service you provide, which is in our case as architects design, but also you're full of knowledge and expertise that comes from your experience as you developed, your expertise in practice. And that also has value. And to me, that was really eye-opening. I thought that's amazing. We already were teaching natural building, and it was our way of also tackling the concept of preservation. Now we can do it in a way that perhaps we could record courses on natural building. So how to build with bamboo, how to structurally design with bamboo, which are more methodology related courses. It's all like theory, and then also physical location based courses where people can come and actually experience it and learn from masters. And that all of a sudden just felt like it could apply to everything. And so I started studying it, and as I studied, I took endless notes, etc., because I wanted to develop that for myself. I thought, okay, now what I'm going to do with TribeLab is just record online courses, and we're going to find experts like Charlie Rendell, who was my mentor, in Guatemala and have those incredible people that have this amazing knowledge in a very narrow niche of architecture, teach it. And that can be beneficial not only to people that want to learn this, but also to other architects that perhaps want to just expand their expertise onto these other areas, right? And in a way, it feels like we don't actually have that right now. We don't have this availability or these opportunities to actually go and learn new skills without taking internships. And so, which is time consuming, right? And so, yeah, this is what I started developing. And as I took all these notes, I thought, wow, I actually want to call my mentors like Charlie and other people that influenced my pathway and share it with them. And that's where the idea came to record an online course on what I just learned. And I did it. I actually took my notes and I organized it into modules and recorded a course, a training program on it. And I invited all my mentors. Some of them completed it. Some of them were too busy to complete the project, but all of them understood the value of it. And that was a big win for me. And they, for example, now when Corona happened, some of them contact me and they say, Sara, we wish we had that product now.
Right.
Construction is on hold and, we could just be selling training. And yeah, exactly. So, that's pretty much what brings me here with COVID. Right before COVID, I actually was working in film production, helping record online courses and also helping tech companies in Berlin, green tech companies with recording basically like advertising campaigns and things related to telling a story about their business, etc. And we were with my business partner also expanding to help trainers record training material. And with COVID, because that's another service-based business, we stopped. And I knew all the tools and I knew what will help me survive through this. I didn't ask questions how long this thing is going to last for. Are we going to be in lockdown? What is going to happen with business? I really did not think anything past one thought. It's time right now for me to just get out there and start publishing, because I know that this is what gets your message out there. It helps you position yourself as an expert. And I lived that new philosophy already, but I haven't yet started publishing. And with the beginning of COVID, pretty much the first week, I think it was a day after we did the last shoot in Berlin, I sat down and I started writing my blog. And shortly after, inviting experts for conversations just like this one, and exploring topics that really interest me, which right now is, the transition of digital education and practice also from analog to digital. So architectural education from analog to digital. And it's just an incredible journey, I've got to tell you. It's amazing because I'm meeting beautiful people. I'm hearing so many amazing, inspiring stories from all around the world. I'm doing what I really love to do, and I'm sharing that story, which people are getting little aha moments through, and I get to see it, and I'm really enjoying that process, and I'm hoping to help more people realize the benefits of actually not only intelligently position yourself as an expert, which what I really mean by it is, if you think about the way we introduce ourselves now, we always say, hey, I'm an architect too. And when you go on LinkedIn, everyone just says architect. And if you want to get to know a little bit more about their background, you're going to have a look at where they work or their school. But after minimum of 5 years, every person in the world develops expertise, whatever they chose to do, whether it's in drawings or details or maybe engineering aspects of facades or certain technology of building, or maybe an interest in green design, sustainability, education, whatever it is, there always will be something. And we never say, I'm an architect specialized in ... And I think that would have an incredible effect on the way we collaborate with each other. And also it could open up doors to so much more, perhaps new even businesses within architecture, like new ways of collaboration, new ways of doing business. And so this is why I am where I am right now, and I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm hoping that as we talk about it and as people realize it and also start telling the story of their own expertise, perhaps we can experience new realities within the realm of practice as well as education.
Sara, that is exactly why I ask people their origin story. Because if I just came in here and we started having a conversation and say, well, Sara does masterclasses for architects, and we dive right into why it's important, and we'll talk about that, and that's important, and that is very important. But when you hear your whole story from the very beginning of how you started in Shanghai and the village and the people within the city, and that sort of transformed you and your mindset was shifted, and then you went off and you went to Guatemala and you built a nonprofit there, and then that sort of didn't work out the way you had hoped, and so you just decided to take it on yourself and become a leader and say, okay, I'm going to do this myself, and built this whole thing by yourself. And then that led to, exploring more information and the knowledge that you gathered from that. And then you wanted to share that knowledge. And so you started doing this digital presence and sort of to gather this information and be able to share it digitally to the world through the internet. And that's why I love the origin story, because that is such a great story. We will return to our conversation after this quick break to say thank you to our platform sponsors here at EntreArchitect, ARCAT, Gusto, and Monograph. Unless you're working for one of the top architecture firms in the world, you know what it's like to work with limited resources. But there's one resource that you can access no matter what size your architecture firm: ARCAT.com. ARCAT is the online solution for your building product information needs. They offer BIM objects, CAD details, specifications, and much, much more from leading manufacturers from all over the world. Research building products and get the information you need all in the same place, fast and easy. And best of all, it's free. ARCAT doesn't charge you anything for these resources. You don't even need to register or give them your email. And when I say it's free, there's no catch. Visit arcat.com and try it out. Search for the resources that you need, and ARCAT will deliver. That's arcat.com. That's ARCAT.com. arcat.com. Build better. Taking care of your employees has never been more important than now. For years, Gusto's been helping more than 100,000 small business owners run payroll, offer benefits, onboard new employees, and more. They call it the People Platform. And it doesn't just look nice, and it does look nice. It also works. Your payroll taxes are filed, deductions are calculated, and your team gets paid. You can even offer health insurance and 401ks as you grow. As a listener of the EntreArchitect podcast, you will get 3 months free after your first payroll when you go to EntreArchitect.com/gusto. That's EntreArchitect.com/gusto. And make sure that you let them know that you're a member of the EntreArchitect community. Gusto, the People Platform. Visit EntreArchitect.com/gusto today. Are you tired of spreadsheets? Of using spreadsheets to keep track of your project plans, your budgets, your staff, your time? Spreadsheets. Our friends at Monograph know what that's like because they're architects too. They know all about that spreadsheet mess that you're dealing with, so they did something about it. Monograph is a time tracking and project management tool built for architects by architects to respond to the challenges that small and medium-sized firms face on their quest to a profitable business. With Monograph's integrated suites of tools, you'll stay on track and on budget without the overhead of wrangling spreadsheets every day. Improve your firm's operations today. Try Monograph for free at EntreArchitect.com/monograph. Ditch the spreadsheets. Visit EntreArchitect.com/monograph and try Monograph today for free. ARCAT, Gusto, and Monograph. Please visit our platform sponsors today and thank them for supporting you, the EntreArchitect community. And I have some questions, actually a few questions. You mentioned TribeLab, and could you just, can you go back, because that seems like the seed for what you're doing now. So can you talk about TribeLab and what that is and how that started?
Absolutely. So Tribe Lab is the charity I registered in Guatemala. And it's true, I just kind of went over it without going into detail. But at that moment when I moved to Guatemala and I worked for another charity and I saw how unsustainable perhaps some of the solutions that they were providing to the community were, I thought, okay, we want to create a project that is going to be really based on concepts such as providing solutions that are really human-centered, solutions that will be economically savvy, and also to respect the environment. And what I really meant by it is, so one of the things that were really intriguing to me and that I saw to be a big problem, and I think is a really big problem in the humanitarian sector altogether globally, is that mostly when you go to underprivileged communities in places that struggle, like let's just say rural Guatemala, a lot of money comes from the West, right? Specifically from America, if it comes to Central America. So all the donors would be sending money from America, and these companies would be spending that money in local building suppliers. But when you trace up the line of who owns that building supplier, it's going to be some big American corporation. So these donations don't even leave the country. So how can you boost someone's economy by building a school if you haven't really invested in these people? Imagine if there is a village that has maybe, 500 people, and you build a school for them, and you'll hire 40 of these people that are builders, but then that's going to help their families. But then the women will come and cook, and the children will come and learn there. And you actually invest that money into that particular community by investing in their skill sets, by investing in their knowledge, ability to utilize nature, and also help them out a little bit to perhaps advance a little bit the understanding of how to do it properly, how to build properly, savvy to perhaps, earthquakes or floods and things that happen in the tropics quite often. You can not only help these people be proud from their roots and where they come from, because after all, it's just a bunch of white people appreciating their background. But also you can actually economically boost that particular community. And these projects are lengthy, they're harder to do, and there's a lot of politics with that, so it's just easier to manage it on the corporate and company level, where you receive the money as a charity, you spend it in the builder suppliers, you just make invoices everywhere and it's fine. But if you hire local people and you build that business from the ground up, from the grassroots up, you can really have long lasting influence onto that community that can really influence not by just providing education, but also educating something within these human beings that will stay with them forever. Like for example, giving them pride as to who they are and where they come from. So they don't always feel like they have to chase the West, because that's what development, like that's the kind of pressure development puts on them. And there's this global belief, specifically within underprivileged communities, that living in a mud hut or in their kind of natural built house is a sign of poverty, because it is if you compare it to a concrete block house. But there's a lot of problems with concrete block houses if you look at how they perform in really hot conditions, for example. And also when they are built in places like that, they're built very poorly. And so that's not really the ultimate solution. It just is some kind of solution. And so if you're devoting your life and your energy to solving something, you might as well do it well, and you might as well do it in a way that it agrees with your values. And I think this is what we wanted to create with Tribe Lab. So essentially, we always try to build with communities. And the way we did it is we went to elders and we invited them to share their knowledge of how they built locally, and then invited the youth to train from their elders. But as we were engineers and architects, we kind of facilitated that process. And whenever there were discrepancies with, for example, building unsafe for the conditions or for any type of earthquakes or the climate, then we would have provided that education and make sure that the buildings were compliant as well. And so, yeah, that was really what Tribe Lab was. We were building with natural materials, not fully. Sometimes we had to compromise, but the compromise mainly happened because the community did really not want a natural build. And that's also fine. We had to respect that. So.
Right. Okay. And that topic is a topic all in itself that we could easily have an entire episode all by itself. So, but I want to stay on the topic of digital transformation and digital knowledge. But I wanted to go back to Tribe Lab because that's part of the story of what led you to where you are now. And I just wanted to clarify what that was. The knowledge that you gained from that experience, you developed into eventually developed into this online course that you developed that taught other experts how to leverage their expertise. Am I correct in that? Is that what that course was?
That's right.
Is that course still available? Is that something that's still out there?
This is so essentially like the courses I took to learn how to create online courses were in America. I was learning with business experts and digital marketing experts. And the training program that derives from this is Architecture-Masterclass, which is the program that right now I am teaching architects and promoting.
Right. And that's where I wanted to get to. The Architecture Masterclass is what's happening now. It's what you're developing now. And the idea, from what I understand, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is to take the knowledge and the expertise that we have as experts, as architects, as professionals, as engineers, as we have these, you had mentioned it earlier, that once you sort of start practicing, you develop expertise. And you can take that expertise and share it with others and, expand the knowledge base of your tribe, your world around you, and make the world a better place through doing that, right? By leveraging your expertise, teaching others. Now they have that expertise, very much the same in line with my philosophy of love, learn, share, care with one another, learn as much as you can, and then share it all with the world, and the world becomes a better place. Very similar philosophy. And the idea of taking that knowledge, sending it out there in a profitable way, so now you can earn more profit, which allows you to continue to develop your expertise, continue to gain knowledge, and then again create another course, send that knowledge back out to the world, and it becomes this cycle. And especially now in this time of COVID-19, where many of us were locked down, our revenue may have shrunk. If you had this additional income source, it becomes another stream of income that allows you to continue to develop your expertise as an architect or an engineer. And so I love that concept. So let's dive into Architecture Masterclass. What is it, and how do people sort of get involved? Well, first of all, what is it, and why would architects, our community of small firm architects, why would they be interested in putting together something like this?
Yeah, definitely. I think you really summarized it perfectly. It's the concept very much evolves around being an expert within the architecture industry. And we are, as architect service providers, so we think about architecture and our services as design. What essentially the concept evolves around is extracting your expertise and packaging it into a form of a course, which is a product. That product, once you record it, you put it on the platform like a membership site, and all you do is you sell login details to that platform. Just like it is with Udemy, for example, or in, Coursera or Udacity has courses. So except that the difference is that you can put your course on the platform, but you can also develop a personal brand around your teaching. So you say, okay, well, we're an architecture firm and we're doing a specific type of construction, let's just say residential construction. And we're doing it in a certain region, and we mostly work with certain materials and also a specific type of client. So this is where your expertise lays, and you want to essentially teach that so that you can perhaps help other architects that want to develop or be really good at what you're doing in maybe other parts of America or other parts of the world, and they might want to learn your skill set, your expertise from you, but also they might be interested in the specifics of actually how you design, how you think, how you run your practice, maybe which materials you use, what's the process behind it. And so within all the experience that you have running your practice, there will be certain points of knowledge that perhaps you're often being asked about, or you feel like if your younger self, maybe a version of you from 10 years ago have known what you know right now, you would have led your life differently or your career differently. And that aspect, that point of knowledge makes you of value to someone who perhaps doesn't have it today. And so based on that, you can create a course. And again, we at the program in Architecture Masterclass, we take you through the process of actually realizing really what your expertise is, but also analyzing your direct influence within the sector of your clients, as well as other networks that you have in your life, so that you understand who your clients are and who would be the niche or the group that would specifically benefit from your knowledge. Because you might find that actually someone who would benefit would be like a younger practice than you, but it might have been also your local community that is always coming to you as an expert and asking a specific question. So except just being a designer that answers that for free or supports you for free, you can package it into an automated training program and essentially just say, hey, if you want to find out, then I have this course. And, it can be anything. It can be 1 week long, or it can be 10 week long. And then again, there is a lot of different ways in which you can package your knowledge. You can be just informational. You can get it certified if there is, for example, a way in which you can teach something that can be certifiable within your region. But you can also decide that it's going to be an implementation-based course. So, for example, you take a person on a true journey from the point of not knowing to a point of knowing and being able to practice it. So being able to implement it within their own practice, life, design, methodology, or whatever it is that you want to teach. And so essentially we help you understand who your ideal client would be and how you want to voice your expertise specifically to that person. And then you create the actual program based on that. And then you can market it, again, very similarly, understanding your ideal client, ideal customer, their needs, and how your course or your training program solves their problem. So it's exactly like when you want to communicate your design strategy and what your practice stands for. You have to answer those questions, like what problems do you solve and what is the real value that you provide within your practice. Is very similarly, but now you do it around a product that you develop. And what's easier about it is that there's a lot of automated ways to promote it through social media, as well as through Facebook ads, for example, where you specifically target your product to people alike your ideal customer, and you create automated sales around it. So it doesn't happen straight away. It takes about 2 years for this to really grow. But once it's on a constant, and if you're doing it well and you're learning along the way in the process of actually targeting it to your audience, speaking the language of your audience and selling that product, you have essentially a parallel running business, which is a product-based business, not a service. And within that realm, you can always produce more products to your audience. So let's just say you have some customers that have onboarded with your first version of the course, and then where do they go next? You can provide them with the second step and third step, so you can take them along the journey. You can teach them things that are similar and alike, that are still within your expertise, but perhaps touching on a bit of a different point. And so this way you just nourish that community, and your trade, the aspect of what you're trading is your knowledge. And so you nourish that community and help them grow with your expertise.
So Architecture Masterclass is both the training program that you've developed to teach architects how to do this, right? To identify ideal client, how to develop the course, how to actually put the course together, and how to market that course. Is it also the platform where all these courses come together?
Yeah, so actually I am in the middle of a conversation about this with some organizations that are starting to do that. We want to create a platform for architects that works like masterclass.com, but it's just for architects. It's a much bigger project because it's actually a tech product. So here you have to think about developing an independent business model around a tech product and launching it in form of an app or a computer-based, big library of courses. But we're in a process of it. I'm having these conversations. It would be lovely to have something like that just for architects. But at the moment, I think that the concept of digitalizing knowledge and actually recording online courses is very fresh. And what I find to be a priority is to actually talk about this and to present this as an opportunity for architects to create residual streams of income within their business, but also to diversify a little bit and not see themselves only as providers of design services, but also build products around who they are, their brand or their knowledge, or actually themselves as experts.
Yeah, I love that idea, and I love I think it's very needed. This is a question that comes up in the community all the time at EntreArchitect, of how do I take the knowledge and leverage it into a product that I can sell, and gain some additional income through that. You know, you've heard the term passive income. It's not necessarily passive. There's a lot of active work that needs to go into it. But as Sara said, that once it's developed and it's put together and it's working and it's in this automated marketing system, it does become relatively passive. You still have to maintain it and update it, but it becomes this additional stream of income. And Architecture-Masterclass is developed in order for you to be able to do that. Before we wrap up, Sara, I wanted to ask you, I want to talk about a little bit about the ideal client, and then I'll ask you the final question, and then we'll wrap things up. The ideal client is probably one of the biggest questions that when architects start thinking about, okay, I have this expertise, I have this knowledge, okay, I'm going to put together a course. Can I sell it to everybody? I mean, I have this knowledge, and can I sell it to both architects who may need that knowledge and homeowners that may need that knowledge if I'm a residential architect? How do you talk about ideal client with the people who take Architecture-Masterclass?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. And actually, I've got to tell you the truth that my ICP lesson within the first module of the course is the longest lesson within the whole course. It's about an hour long because it really is the biggest question that you have to ask yourself when you're starting any business, especially if it's info product. Because with your info product, if you create that product and put it out there online and you don't know who you're selling to, you're probably not going to be successful.
Yeah.
Or you're going to have a lot of people that misunderstand what you created and buy into it and then be not happy because it doesn't really help them. So you need to really understand your niche. And I think that is it's a very tricky process because you have to ask a lot of questions and get to know these people well. And we go through it through a series of asking really good questions about it and actually analyzing your answers and going deeper into it. So it's like a workshop, but also there is a lot of methodology that I teach around it. So one of the examples that I have in the course that I also heard from someone else, but I think it's amazing. There's these two individuals that I introduce in my course, and they're both dog lovers. They're both over 50. They both are high profile figures, and they both have are happily married. And you know, you think that can be a demographic that can explain exactly who your ideal customer could be. But actually, then I publish their pictures, and one of them is Ozzy Osbourne, and another is Prince Carol. So they're like two completely different people. You know, you have like this royalty, super serious man, and then this like crazy rocker on the other side. And so we, in this old school way of defining an ideal client, we always used to look into demographics, but now you have to ask yourself questions really about their interests and what really triggers them and where do they go and how do they have fun and, you know, what things do they look for in life? What are their ambitions? A lot of times also to understand what is their pain point, like where did they not succeed in life and what do they look to achieve still? How do they want to navigate through problems, and especially career related, because this is what we are, let's just say, tackling when we are solving problems for infra products. What we want to teach them, where do we want to take them? And so all of those things is just like a really big workshop that we do, and we try to analyze it in depth to understand that profile. But also one of the things that I always tell my clients is you have to think of it as a repetitive process. You can't just do it once and build your business on it and never revisit that workshop. Because as you grow your business, you start to interact with people, and you start refining your message, as well as actually understanding better and better who these people are that are reaching out to you more often. And so it's really important to put a face and a name to that profile, not just have it as a John Smith, but literally, think of someone who was really grateful for your service and who you had a really incredible experience working with, and also someone who really didn't mind paying you for your services, and try to build that idea based on your best customer ever, or maybe your ideal customer you would want to work with. Because one of the really important things that I love to mention is that your ideal customer will always be keen to pay you for your services, and they're not going to be underappreciating you for who you are as an expert or service provider. So it's a really interesting topic, and there is a lot of things that can be shared. I'm really happy to do a workshop on it whenever Marky wanted to, or if I'm super happy to do a presentation because I looked into actually ways in which it's presented in business studies to define your customer, as well as in tech. And also design services. And I think that the workshops that I run are actually helpful. But again, it's something that needs to be revisited. It cannot just be done once, because as you grow your business, you will define your message, and also you will define your concept of who that ideal customer is.
Yeah, and that module alone sounds valuable all in itself, because that's, whether you're marketing your architectural services or whether you're marketing an online course, understanding the process of identifying the right ideal client. What is your ideal client or your ideal customer is a skill that you need to learn as a business person. So that alone is interesting. So Sara, before we wrap up, what is one thing that a small firm architect can do today, right now, to build a better business for tomorrow? That might be an obvious question at this point.
Yeah, obviously. First of all, go to your LinkedIn and change the name architect into architect specializing in, and make sure that your description explains what you're doing and who you are. And, don't be shy about finally letting it all out there and say, hey, I've always been interested in this, and this is what I'm really good at. And even if you think that maybe your client won't understand what that is, the terminology that you will use around it, like a facade expert or whatever, there will be other people in our community that will, and that can help you actually develop relationships and maybe even further business with people. So there is business within our community. We don't have to see ourselves as competition. So yeah, definitely do that. And then look into ways in which you can actually create a product out of your expertise and slowly develop this other residual way of creating business.
Her name is Sara Kolata with a K, Kolata. The website is architecture-masterclass.com, architecture-masterclass.com. She's very active on social media, so just search up Sara Kolata. Pretty much anywhere you'll find her. She also writes a great blog on Medium, so go to medium.com. Again, medium.com, search Sara Kolata, you'll find her. Sara, this has been an inspirational conversation, an important conversation, and a conversation that many of our members here at EntreArchitect are constantly asking for information on this. So I appreciate you for coming here and sharing your story. Fantastic, our origin story, so we understand where this came from, and for sharing your knowledge here today at EntreArchitect Podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you, everyone.
You have been listening to EntreArchitect Podcast, episode 343. The link to share right now, EntreArchitect.com/episode 343. That's the link to the show notes. That's the link to listen. That's the link to subscribe. Please share that link with a friend, EntreArchitect.com/episode 343. If you're not subscribed and you're just going to the website every week, I would love for you to subscribe. So go to any of the platforms where you listen to podcasts, iTunes, Google, Stitcher, Spotify. We're there everywhere. Go subscribe in every single one of them, right? Because that helps get the word out too. That will let those platforms know that there are a lot of people listening to this podcast, and it will share it to other architects throughout the world. So share the link, EntreArchitect.com/episode 343, and then go subscribe to the show everywhere that you can. I'd appreciate that. EntreArchitect is proud to be part of the largest, most engaged AEC multimedia network on the planet, Gābl Media. Curated thought leadership for an audience dedicated to building a better world. It's my way, it's our way of sharing the knowledge that the AEC community has with the rest of the world, right? With people who care about the planet and want to build a better world. That's what Gābl Media mission is, and we love for you to be part of that. EntreArchitect is part of that. I'd love for you to go listen and subscribe to EntreArchitect and all the shows at GāblMedia.com. That's a great way to connect with this show and all the shows. GāblMedia.com. That's GABL Media.com. GāblMedia.com. Thank you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting our mission at Gābl Media. Be well, my friends. Be healthy, happy, safe, and secure. Thank you very much for listening today. Love, learn, and share what you know.
Imagine earning continuing education credits while doing exactly what you're doing right now. Well, you can. Gābl Media has revolutionized the way you earn your continuing education credits with a groundbreaking approach. Forget running around town and scouring the internet for credit-worthy courses. Fulfill your CE requirements effortlessly by listening to engaging podcasts just like the one you're listening to now. Our podcasts are designed to educate, entertain, and inspire, all in a user-friendly environment. But wait, there's more. Architects, Gābl Media is also approved as an AIA continuing education services provider. Upon completion, we handle everything, from reporting your hours directly to the AIA to storing your certificates in your personal Gābl Media profile for your self-reporting needs. So follow the link in the show notes and start earning your credits in the most innovative and entertaining way possible with Gābl Media.
Attention architects and creative minds, get ready to supercharge your brand with Build Your Brand, the podcast that's unlocking the secrets of branding success for creatives. Hey there, it's Mark Arlepage, founder of EntreArchitect, and I'm inviting you to join my friend, architect marketing expert Jeff Eccles at Build Your Brand podcast, where he explores the captivating stories of the world's top brands and transforms their lessons into powerful moves for small firm architects and creatives like you. In Season 1, Jeff shares the thrilling tale of Southwest Airlines, where he dissects their journey to the summit and distills it into strategies tailor-made for you.
It's important to keep in mind that companies like Southwest compete in the real world, just like you, and face real-world challenges, just like you. You might be surprised at how similar those challenges are to the struggles that you grapple with on a day-to-day basis.
Don't miss out on your blueprint for success. Subscribe, tune in, and let's build your brand together.
You may have noticed that the very best brands in the world are also known for having somewhat unique corporate cultures. That's often the glue that holds everything together when they encounter those rough spots.
We don't do it because it inconveniences the passengers to whom we are primarily dedicated, the short haul, frequent flyer.
Follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Your Brand today. Remember, no matter the size, the journey's the same. Your brand's journey to the top starts here.